the first quarter of our set of lessons, and I hope everybody will delight in learning today with lesson number 4, comparing new insights with previous learnings. Playing kills boredom. I bet you play most of the time during quarantine. So before we start, a game will be given to you. 4 picks, 1 word is one of the common games nowadays. With the pictures being shown, you'll guess the word that represents those pictures. Letters are given on each picture to serve as your clue. All of these words have to do with today's discussion. The first word is correct. It's dreams. The second word is correct. It's opportunities. The third word is correct. It's challenges. The fourth word is correct. It's wisdom. The words you identified earlier are interconnected. How? As a young individual, it's normal to have a series of dreams. And in the working to achieve those, challenges will come along. It might be a hindrance in what you're planning, but you can use it as a stepping stone towards achieving what you desire, and it can also help you in reaching out to those people who are in need of support. In return, you gain wisdom that will help you to become a better person. The same goes with our learning from the past. We can always use what we've learned before and connect it from the learning that we are gaining in this present times. It's my pleasure to present to you some of the most inspirational individuals in their own respective fields who succeeded despite adversity. They will show you the importance of your past experiences to your present situations and how it can be a great help in supporting other people. In today's society, young individuals like you fear rejection. Who wouldn't fear something that creates division among people? Adults often come up with this phrase, try and try until you succeed. Cliche as it may sound, but Pia Richbach proved that that saying is still proven and effective. She was crowned Miss Universe 2015, made her the 4th Filipina to brought home the title. This Pinay beauty is not only for an international competition, but also for the people who need help during this pandemic. As a dreamer, you envy those people who were born with on-hand opportunities. With that, people misunderstood that choices are only laid upon those who are capable. But Ramon Ang proved it wrong. His journey in becoming one of the most beloved tycoons in the Philippines was not that easy. He was a working student with odd jobs after classes to support himself, help his family, and fund his schooling. He proved that hard-earned life lessons will serve you well and propel you to success. A great example that whether you belong to upper, middle, or lower class, it's still you being persistent is the key to success. With all the things he has, he is now exerting a big chunk of effort to help the Filipinos rise again, proving that you should always share the things you have. These people are just some of those successful individuals who overcame huge obstacles to the top. People who prove that the more you have, the more you should share with other people. They showed how important lessons from the past in becoming successful in the present times.
Wisdom is a product of lifelong learning. The ability to think, act, and certain problem depends on what you've learned from the past and what you are practicing right now. So I have here two boxes wherein you will enumerate your previous learning and new insights, which are highlighted by the stories of the successful personalities mentioned earlier.
First column. What were your previous learnings related to the experiences of these well-known personalities? Second column. What are the new insights that you gain out of the experiences of these well-known personalities? Here are the sample answers. If you fail, people will see it as your weakness and start doubting you. Improve yourself when it comes to your weakness. Nothing beats a person who always strives to be a better individual than he or she was before. Don't do it for the purpose of you being on top, but do it as an inspiration to others who are experiencing the same way. Your self-confidence will go down as you endlessly trying to win something. You have to focus more on rebuilding yourself than on thinking of all the negative thoughts from getting to you. You should reach out to different people, for it gives you new perspective. With the sample answers, you can evaluate your old ideas and analyze the things you're about to learn as you solve each challenges along the way.
In this generation, we often disregard sacrifice as a form of learning. The beauty of it often took for granted. But for today, a mythological story about sacrifice and selflessness will remind us that the true essence of gaining wisdom is about sharing it to others for the greater good. How Odin lost his eye. Told by Catherine of Salem. Odin sat on his throne in the most beautiful palace in Asgard. His throne was so high that he could see over all three parts of the world from where he sat. The great king gazed thoughtfully down on the earth below him. He had made the green land stretch out before his eyes. With the help of the other gods, he had made men and women who lived on that earth, and he felt truly like the old father he was called. All seemed to be going well. Odin found it hard to think of evil times, but he knew that the frost giants were only waiting for the chance to bring trouble to his children. They were the ones who brought cold and ice to the world and shook the earth in anger. They hated Odin and all the works of the gods. And from high on his throne, Odin looked down beyond the earth, deep into the gloomy land of his enemies. He saw dark figures of huge men moving about. They looked like evil shadows. He, the king of the gods, needs to have more wisdom. It was not enough just to see his enemies. He ought to know more about them. So Odin wrapped his tall figure in a blue cloak. Down from his throne, he climbed down the broad rainbow bridge. He strode and across the green earth till he came to one of the roots of the great evergreen tree. There, close by the tree, was a well full of clear water. Its surface was so still, it was like a mirror. In it, one could see pictures of things that had happened and things that were going to happen. But beside the well sat an old man. His face was lined with the troubles of the world. His name was Mimur, which means memory. No one, not even the great Odin, could see the pictures in the well unless he first drank some of its water. Only Mimur could give the magic drink. Once Odin had arrived, he asked Mimir if he could drink the water from the well. At first, Mimir declined, telling Odin that those who gaze into the mirror of life wish that they had not, for sorrow and death as well as joy are pictured there, and it costs a great price. Mimir told Odin that many had come and searched for the wisdom, but once they learned of the price they must pay, no one paid. But once the king of the gods had made up his mind, nothing could change it. He was not afraid to look upon sorrow and death. What could the king of the gods sacrifice? What was most dear to him? Odin thought of his handsome son, Balder, whom he loved most in the world. To give up his son would be like giving up life and all that was wonderful around him. Odin stood silent before Mimir. Indeed, that would be a high price. But Mimir read Odin's thought. The life of his son Balder was not what Mimir was asking for. Then Odin dared to ask Mimir, and the price to such wisdom was indeed his eye. After a short period of contemplation, Odin put his hands up to his bright blue eyes. Those two eyes he gazed across the world from his high throne and the shining city of the gods. His eyes had taught him what was good and beautiful, what was evil and ugly. But those eyes had also seen his children, the men and the women of the earth, struggling against the hate of the giants. One eye was a small sacrifice to win knowledge of how to help them. And without another thought, Odin plucked one of his blue eyes and handed it to Mimir. Then Mimir smiled and gave Odin a horn full of the waters of his well. Odin lifted the horn to his lips and drank. Then he knelt by the edge of the well and watched the pictures passing across its still and silent surface. When he stood up again, he sighed, for it was as Mimir had said. He had seen sorrow and death as well as joy. It was only the glorious promise at the end that gave him courage to go on. So Odin, the great king of the gods, became one-eyed. If you can find Mimir's well, you will see Odin's blue eye resting at the bottom. It is there to remind the men and women of the great sacrifice he made for them.
For deeper understanding of the text, please answer the following questions.
What do Odin's action reveal about human nature? People used to sacrifice everything for their loved ones. For some, it's nonsense, giving up something just to protect someone. But Odin made us realize the value of sacrifice. Choosing between the thing you're about to lose and the thing you're about to gain is a big challenge we must conquer. Are the virtues highlighted still observed these days? With the pandemic going on, we saw individuals who courageously conquer the danger brought by the virus just to protect and provide service to the public. Just like how Odin did, there are still people who are willing to sacrifice themselves just to serve the country.
After knowing King Odin more, let's compare the knowledge we've learned from his story to the knowledge we used to know about certain issues. Use the table on the next slide.
I used to know that challenges are stopping us in achieving what we desire. King Odin taught us that challenges are there to test us for a bigger responsibility ahead. It's not telling us to quit, rather to pursue what we want even more.
Next,
answer? I used to know that wisdom is purely a product of learning. King Odin taught us that wisdom is not just about learning but also sacrificing. It absolutely requires sacrifice, and it's always worth it, no matter how great the cost. With King Odin's story and with the inspiring stories of the prominent people we discussed earlier, I hope that you're now convinced that dreams, challenges, opportunities, and wisdom are interconnected. Same goes with the learning you have from the past and from the learning you're gaining at present. As this pandemic continues, know that everyone is capable of helping other people. No amount is small when it comes to helping your fellow men. Nothing beats a country who keeps on supporting each other. Indeed, no man is an island. Learn to use what you have to be a better individual for the good of everyone.
Do you want to know?